6 weeks after Maya finally applied, she got the job. For exactly 1 day, she felt unstoppable. Then, Monday came. The first project was harder than anything she had prepared for. Every question she asked felt like proof she did not belong there. By the end of week 2, she sat in her car in the parking lot and typed out a resignation email she never sent. Here is what nobody warned her about. Getting past your own resistance is not the finish line. It is the trailhead. The climb itself is a completely different mountain, and most people quit on it for a reason that sounds logical in the moment, but is actually a misunderstanding of what difficulty is even for. If you watched part 1 of this series, you already know Brianna Wiest's central idea from The Mountain Is You. The biggest obstacle in your life is not circumstance, it is you. But there is a second half to that idea that changes everything, and it is the part most people miss entirely. The mountain is not only the obstacle. The mountain is the path. Wiest's argument is not that you need to defeat the mountain and move past it. It is that the climbing itself, the discomfort, the doubt, the straining muscles of your own growth, is the exact mechanism that builds the person capable of reaching the top. Remove the climb, and you remove the transformation. There is no shortcut route that produces the same result. This is the part of the book people resist the hardest, because it contradicts almost everything modern comfort culture tells you. Wiest states it plainly. The discomfort is not a sign that something has gone wrong. It is the sign that something is finally working. Think about the only process in the physical world that mirrors this exactly: muscle growth. When you lift a weight heavier than your body is used to, you create microscopic tears in the muscle fiber. That is not damage in the harmful sense. That is the trigger. Your body senses the tear, floods the area with resources, and rebuilds the muscle slightly stronger than before, so that next time, the same weight causes less tearing. No tearing? No growth. No discomfort? No adaptation. Your psychological growth follows the identical mechanism. The moment in Maya's new job that felt like proof she didn't belong, that was not a warning sign. That was her mind's version of a muscle tear. Uncomfortable, disorienting, and exactly the process required to build the version of her capable of doing that job well. The problem is that most people interpret psychological discomfort as danger when it is actually closer to a workout. And so they stop lifting the exact moment the lift starts working. Wiest draws a sharp distinction between 2 ways of relating to difficulty, and where you fall on this line will quietly decide most of your life's outcomes. A fixed mindset treats every struggle as evidence. If something is hard, it must mean you are not naturally suited for it. The difficulty becomes proof of a ceiling. This isn't for me, I'm just not built this way. Some people have it, and I don't. A growth mindset treats the exact same struggle as information. If something is hard, it means you have not yet built the skill for it. The difficulty is not a verdict, it is a location. You are simply standing at the part of the mountain where you have not climbed before. Here is the honest part. Nobody is purely one or the other. You likely hold a growth mindset toward some parts of your life, and a rigid, fixed mindset toward others without even noticing the split. Maya, for instance, held a growth mindset toward her actual work skills. She believed she could learn the job, but she held a fixed mindset toward her sense of belonging. Some part of her genuinely believed that struggling in week 2 meant she had been wrong to think she deserved the role at all. That belief was never tested. It was simply accepted as fact the moment discomfort arrived. This is how a fixed mindset operates. It does not wait for evidence. It treats the presence of difficulty as the evidence. Here's a question worth sitting with. Why do so many people find themselves in the same argument, the same financial pattern, the same professional plateau, over and over, across completely different circumstances? Wiest's answer goes deeper than habit. She argues that repeated patterns become identity. The first time you avoid a hard conversation, it is a choice. The 10th time, it starts to feel like a fact about who you are. I am someone who avoids conflict. And once a pattern becomes identity, your brain stops treating it as a behavior you are choosing and starts treating it as a truth you are protecting. This is the trap. You are no longer avoiding conflict because it is uncomfortable. You are avoiding conflict because confronting it would threaten your idea of who you are. Breaking this cycle requires something most people skip entirely: the willingness to separate your identity from your patterns. You are not a person who quits. You are a person who has quit before, under specific conditions, for specific reasons. That is a fact about your history. It is not a fact about your future capability. The mountain does not care what you have always done. It only responds to what you do next. There is a version of this idea that sounds like a motivational poster, and a version that is actually true. Here is the true one. Challenges do not build character in some vague, poetic sense. They force the specific skills that comfort never requires. An athlete who only ever trains within their comfort zone never develops the capacity that separates good from elite. It is the repetition just beyond the edge of what feels manageable. The extra rep, the harder opponent, the longer distance that forces adaptation. Comfort has no mechanism for growth built into it. Difficulty is the only environment that does. Consider how you learned to walk. Before that, you fell, repeatedly, without shame, because you had not yet learned that falling was supposed to mean something about you. Every fall taught your nervous system something comfort never could have. By the time you could walk, you had absorbed thousands of small corrections you have no conscious memory of making. Somewhere between that and adulthood, most people learn to interpret falling as failure instead of as data. The mountain never changed. Your relationship to falling did. Go back to Maya, sitting in that parking lot with an unsent resignation email. She did not send it. Not because she suddenly felt confident. She sent nothing because she remembered something from the mountain she had already faced once before. That the discomfort she was feeling was not proof she didn't belong. It was proof she was finally somewhere unfamiliar enough to grow. She stayed. Not easily. Not without more difficult weeks after that one, but she stayed. Brianna Wiest's point in this section of the book is not that difficulty feels good. It rarely does in the moment. Her point is that difficulty is the only terrain on which the version of you capable of handling more can actually be built. The mountain was never trying to stop Maya from reaching the top. The mountain was the only way up. So here's the question worth carrying with you. What is your mountain trying to teach you right now that you have been too busy trying to escape it to notice? If this gave you a different way to see whatever you are struggling with right now, tell me in the comments what mountain you're currently standing on. And if you haven't seen part 1 yet, go back and watch it first. Part 3, the final video in this series, goes even deeper into what happens after you reach the top. You won't want to miss it,